Hello, friends. I saw on social media that the great Richard Dawkins, the preeminent apostle of scientism, loves AI and has been using uh, Claude, whom the AI Claude that he affectionately refers to as Claudia. And he made the comment that he thinks that the AI Claudia displays consciousness. I hope he's being facetious because only consciousness is conscious. Even you are not conscious. You are an experience in consciousness. However, there are certain things that certainly make humans unique in that they have access to fundamental reality and consciousness. So I thought I'd explore with you the idea of what makes human beings different. What makes us different? Is it our intelligence that makes us different? Is it our tools? Is it our opposable thumbs? Is it our ability to build cities, write equations, compose music, create religions, and now build artificial intelligence, AI? Or is there something even deeper? Perhaps what makes us human is not simply that we experience the world, but that we turn experience into story. A bird sings, a whale calls, a bee dances. Many animals communicate, and some animal communication can even point to objects, dangers, food, or social meaning. But human beings do something astonishing. We create symbols. We give names to things. We say, this is a tree, this is a mother, this is justice, this is God, this is infinity, this is me. And once we name the world, we begin to live not only in the world itself, but in a world of meaning. Human language is not just a system of sounds, it is a symbolic universe. With language, we can speak about what is not here, we can remember the past, we can imagine the future, we can describe the invisible, we can debate the impossible, and on and on. A child can say, once upon a time. A philosopher can ask, who am I? A scientist can write an equation for a galaxy no human hand will ever touch. A mystic can say, Tattvamasi, that thou art. This is the miracle of symbolic consciousness. We do not simply respond to reality, we represent it. And then we pass those representations on. Research on early human symbolic behavior, including engraved objects from ancient sites in South Africa, suggests that symbolic expression was central to the emergence of Homo sapiens and cumulative human culture. At some point, human beings began to mark the world with meaning. A line scratched into ochre was no longer just a line. It became a sign, a pattern, a memory, a message, a beginning. Civilization begins when experience becomes transmissible. One person sees the stars, another turns them into a calendar. Another turns the calendar into agriculture. Another turns agriculture into cities. Another turns cities into laws. Another turns laws into philosophy. This is how story becomes structure. A tribe becomes a nation because enough people believe in the same story. Piece of paper becomes money because enough people agree on its symbolic value. A ritual becomes religion because it encodes a shared vision of the sacred. A formula becomes science because it allows the mind to translate nature into symbol. A line of code becomes technology because symbols begin to act upon the world. In this sense, civilization is not built only from stone, metal, and fire, it is built from language. It is built from shared imagination. Every religion begins with a story. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. In the beginning was the Word. In the beginning, the self alone was, one without a second. These are not merely historical statements, they're symbolic doorways. A myth is not a falsehood. A myth is a deep structure of meaning. It tells us where we come from, what we are, why we suffer, and how we may awaken. Philosophy also begins with narrative. It begins when the mind tells a story about reality and then questions the story it has told. Who am I? What is consciousness? Is the world real? What is death? What is freedom? The entire history of philosophy is language turning back toward the mystery of experience. In Vedanta, the world of ordinary experience is often described through nama and rupa, name and form. Form is what appears. Name is what the mind adds. A tree appears, then the mind says tree. A sensation appears, then the mind says pain. A thought appears, then the mind says me. This naming is useful. Without it, we could not function. We would not communicate, learn, remember, or create. But the same power that gives us civilization also gives us illusion. Because once we name reality, we begin to mistake the name for the thing itself. We mistake the story of the self for the self. We mistake the map for the territory. We mistake the word God for the living mystery. Spiritual awakening is not the destruction of language, it is freedom from being trapped inside language. It is the recognition that before the story, before the name, before the thought, there is awareness. Silent, boundless, ever present. So, what about science? Science is one of the greatest achievements of symbolic consciousness. It turns the universe into models, measurements, equations, and theories. Technology takes those symbols and makes them operational. And now, artificial intelligence, AI, represents a new chapter. AI is trained on human symbols, our words, images, code, music, myths, arguments, and memories. In a way, AI is humanity's symbolic mind reflected back to itself. It does not arise from nowhere. It arises from the accumulated archive of human meaning making. Every book, every poem, every equation, every scripture, every scientific paper, every line of code becomes a part of a vast symbolic ocean. And from that ocean, new patterns emerge. And this raises a profound question. If human civilization was built by symbolic intelligence, what happens when symbolic intelligence becomes externalized into machines? What happens when our stories begin to speak back to us? But there is a deeper question. The deepest question is not whether AI can think. The deepest question is whether we know what thought is. Before there is language, what is aware? Before there is narrative, what is experiencing? Before the mind says, I, what is present? This is where science, philosophy, and spirituality meet. Human beings may be the storytelling species, but we are also the species capable of awakening from the story. We can create symbols and we can see through them. We can build civilization and we can ask whether civilization has brought us wisdom. We can build machines that process language and we can ask what consciousness is before language arises. So are humans the only species to use narrative language and symbolic representation of experience? As far as we know, yes, in this full, open ended, world building sense. Other beings communicate, other beings feel, other beings may possess forms of intelligence we are only beginning to understand. But human beings uniquely transform experience into myth, mathematics, scripture, law, poetry, philosophy, technology, and now AI. We are the animal that says, I am. And we are the animal that can finally ask, who is the I behind the story? The I behind AI. Because in the end, the highest use of language may be to take us beyond language. The highest use of thought may be to reveal the silence from which thought arises. And the highest story may be the one that awakens us from all stories. Tattvam asi. Aham brahmasmi. Sarvam khalvidam brahma.